we talked about conflict analysis, clash detection. So again, I'm utilizing Bentley Infrastructure Cloud just so that you guys have a chance to kind of see it. Again, that'll be coming in next year on utilizing it. This clash detection that you see, it's very similar to what is in ORD as well. I'm just utilizing Infrastructure Cloud again, just to kind of show you all a little bit different platform, how that works. What I have in here, so for clash detection and the way to get to that, there's, we're not going to dive into this, but there's different stages. I pick clash detection. And then when I pick clash detection, I can get that pop-up. So again, this is a pop-out window that I'm using. A lot of times it'll come in with my forms and some other things. We'll get in that. That's for a later day. Right now, what I want to do is create a new job. So for this new job, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run drainage elements. So we're just going to call it drainage. And I'm going to run it against some gas elements. So like existing. So let's say proposed drainage let's do existing gas. So give the description. So again, I'm just kind of running through this. So, but definitely, please do give a description of I'm comparing drainage conflicts with gas conflicts. So in here, I'm going to pick my proposed drainage. So I can come through here and I can start to select those drainage elements that I want. And I'm doing it by categories versus models or groups or different things like that. I don't have any groups created right now. So I'm going through and picking my proposed elements that I want to have. So you can see there's an existing. I actually probably don't mind. I'll probably stick that one on there too, just to be safe. So I'm going to add that over. I'm going to add that over as set A. Set A is going to be, and it's categorized by that color. So it's going to be a red color that I'm going to get. I'm going to compare that against set B, and set B right now is blank. So set B, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to look for some gas. So gas structure, so I know those are just symbols. So I'm going to start going through all of my gas elements. And the nice thing about this is it'll go against everything that I want to go against. Some of it may not be pertinent, but as I have the clash detection, it allows me to identify, is it pertinent or is it not? And if it's not, I can comment and note it that way. But what it does is it makes sure that I have checked what is in my file against everything. And again, project specific, based on what you're doing, based on scope of work, based on who's working on it, if it's CDOT internally, if it's consultant CDOT, CDOT contractor consultant, depending on all of those elements, depends on what was collected in the field, what was checked against. So having checked all of those things prior and what's in your file. So you're relying on what was QC'd prior. Okay, we've got all of our elements that we know about. That's what's in this file. That's where you want to start that clash detection. You don't want to start your clash detection before you've QC'd or before you know what's in there. So please keep those things in mind as well. So with the gas, what I'm going to do then is I'm going to add that to set B. So I've put those together so you can see what it does is it starts to highlight and you can see there's blues, there's reds. So it starts to go through and look for all of those different elements that I've selected for set A, that I've selected for set B. What it'll do now is I can create and run a clash job, or I can create clash job. There's also in here where you can see from a clearance standpoint on a self-check, and keep in mind, again, this is in inches. So what I can do as well is, let's say, since I'm checking against drainage, maybe I want to have a 2-foot envelope around my drainage pipe that says, okay, I need 2 feet kind of outside. I don't want anything within that, or even a foot. So whatever you want that envelope to look like and whatever you want that standard set at, you can do that through here. So I would do 24 inches. So I can go through, I can create and run a clash job and run a clash detection. So again, conflict analysis. What are those things running into each other? What's happening? So through here, and it's going to actually, I think it takes a little bit because it should give me some, hopefully gives me some clashes through this. There we go. There we go. So what I'll have to do, so what it did there is it just ran, okay, I'm going to pull together the sets. And in here, then I run my job and I want it to run through and actually look for everything. So it goes through and it analyzes features. Again, it's important that everyone understands these are features against each other. So 3D information. It's not, if it's 2D line work, it's not really going to give you anything. So you want to make sure that you've got that 3D information that's running those against. This is probably going to take a while, but once it's done, what it does is it'll give me those clashes. And again, whether it's in Bentley Infrastructure Cloud or in ORD, once you pick on what that clash is, it will take you directly to that clash. It will identify, okay, you have a conflict between your gas and your drainage because you're within the 2-foot envelope, because you're going through your pipe, whatever that instance may be. That's what it's doing, is it's providing you information. Hey, you've got a conflict. You need to do something. Gas lines, 24-inch high pressure gas line feeding the entire city, probably not going to move it. So you better address your drainage. So it's some of those things and those elements that are really going to help us from a design process standpoint as we move forward. So
I see you have guardrail in there. Will it be able to detect guardrail posts?
Yes, you can. Yeah, it can definitely do that. Again, it's going to be dependent upon how you're running your job, how you set up your job. So I use just drainage and gas as an example. I could run guardrail against drainage. I could run guardrail against my other utilities. And with the posts that are going through, because that's part of my 3D element, and whatever my clearance is, it's going to pick those things up. I can also run it against pavement, earthwork. And as you can see here, I have a ditch. Well, maybe I want to run my ditch lines against my existing utilities. Do I have enough cover? Do I not? Same thing with drainage. This provides a lot more information, and again, conflict analysis that will run through and help us identify areas that we may have missed from a visual standpoint. Oh wait, I've got a conflict here. I got to move this because I have no clearance, or I have now electric lines that I got to move because they're above my ditch line. So we got to either lower them, move them out of the way, do something. So that's what really this clash detection provides, and this fits into the federated files because again, it's taking that data rich information, comparing those, and finding issues and resolutions between them.
Yeah, I just want to add something just to avoid confusion on this. When you create your design model like drainage and utility, you will identify all that in your design model. What I see the benefit here, this one does not, like if you have Bentley Cloud Services, that's all what you need to view the file. That's if you go on the construction for quality assurance review, and also when you go on the construction and you have probably, you did more survey data, you want to check all that against and view with folks who doesn't even have ORD. That's a great tool to perform final or check-in prior to construction. So it can be used through MilePoint and also during construction, prior to commence construction. But the actual design and looking at the data and running the clash detection, it should be with the design model itself before a upload to here.
Yep. And yeah, Stephen, correct. It's based on the envelope for the guardrail, which does show that envelope includes the post. So it's kind of that envelope itself along that area.
Yeah, the extended implication there, as things sit right now in Open Roads Designer, most of that guardrail is a graphical reality. It's actually a single line as far as ORD is concerned. So if you want to check against it, you have to include an envelope around the line.
Yeah, and we added like the terminal, the two pieces for the terminal and beginning pieces for the guardrail in the 2024, but it's all like a line what ORD sees it. So yeah,
Well,
definitely.
correct me if I'm wrong. The terminals are going to come in as point features, is that
Yep.
right?
Yep, between point and
Yeah.
linear, and the whole thing ORD look at it at that.
Yeah.
So you have to have an envelope too if you want to do, I guess.
And those we can get into like from a template standpoint on how to set those envelopes on a default, run those through. And again, this was very quick and dirty of kind of clash detection and conflict analysis. That is something that we can dive deeper into because I know there's been a few people asking about how to do clash detection. So I think some of those things we can definitely get into, on a separate training that goes through like clashes that have been resolved, active, those different elements. Is once you synchronize or update your models and look at, okay, I'm going to run that again as my, resolve that clash between the two, you can really start to get into, okay, this is my documentation of what I'm looking at from design purposes and what I've done to address any issues that I come across.
Again, our customized training, like drainage utility and stuff, covers clash detection, and we have a
Oh, it does. Okay.
and we have a model consumption one day for that. This is a quality assurance after bringing that on the side, for construction and prior to construction, or if you need to collect more data, I see that, or at every milestone. But most of the work should be done in the design model itself. This is just verification, additional verification.